there, YouTube world. Never say never. I have managed to get myself into Key West during broad daylight on RV, as you see right behind me. And on top of it, I also managed to find parking. Now, in case you're wondering how I managed to do that, there is a trick to this madness. Oh, look at that, there's even a very pretty nature trail. I have driven through Duval Street. That's right, much to amusement of all the onlookers and everything. And this is a state park, Fort Zachary State Park, where you pay $4.50 to actually come here and enjoy all of this. As you see, the scenery here is pretty fancy. You start seeing, you know, for one, it is like 100% humidity. But more importantly, despite the fact that it's hot and humid, it is actually very beautiful here. You could walk through all the street, all the little nooks and crannies and everything like that. Out here in the Keys, even in a busy place like Key West, if you wanted to find yourself a quiet corner, you can. A bunch of picnic tables, incredible view of the water. If I pan around, just look at the color. That being said, in this particular place, there are signs that warn you not to swim. Talking about boat traffic and heavy currents and everything like that. The actual beach is a little further, and like I said, I'm not much of a beach person, but here you could still sit in the shade in all the picnic tables, or if you wanted to enjoy it under the palapa over there, or if you wanted to sightsee and look at the people on jet skis, you can do that as well. Here's the famous Key West Fort Zachary beach. You know, looking out there, the mind begins to wonder a little bit. It's almost like there's something missing, you know, like a whole herd of seals or something like that. You know, you start seeing rocks like that. The water out here is milky, sort of weird looking color, but nonetheless, the scenery is spectacular. And if you're tired of sitting out in the sun, you could always get yourself back to this Australian slash pine and grab yourself a little bit of shade. The park is actually quite nice. If I had to rate it, I would say probably 4.5 out of 5. And considering that there's also a historical building for you to come and explore, certainly worth making a stop out here. That's for sure. Just spend a little bit of time, enjoy with the family, have a picnic, that sort of stuff. So I figure since I'm in the park, I might as well talk about the history of this park. Fort Taylor was actually named after one of America's presidents. Zachary Taylor or something like that. Anyways, not my forte. The general gist of this fort was that it was a crucial form of defense along the eastern and I guess southeastern coastal system in use by the Navy. Originally constructed with 3 tiers, whole bunch of cannons, almost 1,000 people that lived and worked here. and served. That's what that little placard talks about. And the actual guy who's named this park bears is Zachary Taylor. He is the 12th United States president between 1849 and 50-ish or something like that. He just got the privilege of being elected, and then he kicked the bucket. Fort has preserved some of its former relics. This, never mind the sign, this is the blacksmith area with the furnace and some of the tools of the time. Obviously it looks nothing like what it used to, given by all the reconstruction and modern equipment. If I had to reckon, the only original thing in this entire structure is probably that and this. So let's go check out the fort. So this here is an artist's rendering of what the park used to look like way back in the day. Talks about its conception in 1843 and construction began in 1845. And I guess they dug up a historical photo from way back when as well. So true to its history, they have preserved some of its equipment, in this case cannons. Imagine the size of the cannon required to propel this. It has to be one heck of a cannon, because if you look through this window, and I'm gonna try my best to walk around and see, it's definitely not that cannon. Originally this fort was constructed by Irish brick masons with use of cement and brick, as you see, and off in the background you could see the big cannons that were used at the time. Looking through some of the windows, I'm guessing cast iron and everything. That is such a bizarre thing. The ball would barely fit in there. With I'm guessing this is for short range rather than long range inaccuracy. Probably highly volatile. People coming through your door, let's blow them into pieces, sort of thing. And then the next window shows us a typical cannon of the time, which was used on battlefields and things. You know, one topic I wanted to cover, and this is not to diss United States of America, but at least in my experience, creation and design of things in American culture and history is quite pathetic, and I apologize for saying that, because if you look at a lot of the older historical things, which are really not that old, they're all falling into pieces. Whereas if you go anywhere in Europe, you have castles and things that have withstood the passage of time. You know, also located in similar type elements, especially along, you know, the coast of Portugal and Spain and things like that. It seems like when they were building them, some of that craftsmanship haven't quite migrated over to United States. Very unfortunate, because you get structures like this, which, by the way, this entire thing has been rebuilt and restored, and it's still in such a iffy condition. Imagine being out here at the time when this fortress was in its heyday. Imagine all the soldiers running here like ants. This is one of the cannons, by the way. There's another cannon. And then the cannon would be wheeled up here, which the great irony is you don't get much of a clearance to shoot. You have to, I'm guessing, tilt it just, I don't know. Such a bizarre thing. Here you could see one of the cannons with wheels that can only go one way. Yes, this only goes diagonally left or right, not even forward. So I'm guessing they would shove the barrel in there and then just ever so slightly move this whole thing. Seems a little bit of an overkill for such a small hole. And you can see how everything is covered in moss and cracks, and weather certainly is taking its toll on this place. A great amount of corrosion on everything. And of course, in a typical fortress fashion, stairs. My arch nemesis. Why does it have to be stairs? Those of you that follow me on my channel know that I can't do stairs. I have a story about the stairs. Back when I was a kid, my mom took me to this fortress where, to get to the top, you have to take the stairs. And so after taking like a couple hundred stairs, I got really sick of food poisoning. It wasn't fun. And this is pretty much it for the fort tour. Here you get a great observation platform. You know, in the context of time, reading all the placards and everything like that, I like how they say that this fort was used for defense. Right, as if the enemy wouldn't have known to avoid places like that. At the time, if you think about the 13 colonies, there was plenty of space for people to land and infiltrate if they really wanted to. So on the exit of the park, we get another placard in which they talk a little bit about history of Fort Taylor, talking about calling it Gibraltar of Florida Straits, even though it never fired a single shot in defense. So talking about upgrading and things, keeping up with the times. You know, this kind of reminds me of something that's quite synonymous with United States military. Whoops. United States of America doesn't get invaded. You know, the little stint that it had with the British. Oh, there's another lizard over there. Look at this guy. Cool looking one. Even its civil war, you know, it was a war amongst its own people rather than being invaded. And so a lot of the so-called military installations have never actually been used for the purpose. Is there something big coming? Out here in the Keys, every time you look up, you always see something flying out and about. Or maybe you're just seeing circles because it's so hot and humid. Either way. But yes, the United States military installations have never really been put to much use. And so even in modernity, what they do is every once in a while they have to say, oh, well, we have to upgrade our military capability. Ooh, there's that. And you know, mind you that I have grown up in a military family myself, so it's not like I'm anti-military or anything like that. It's just, I find it very ironic and funny how that pattern has never really changed, you know. But what has changed is longevity of these installations. You know, if you think about the context of time, 1840s, 1850s really wasn't all too long ago in the context of time. And it's just ever so interesting to see how, man, I don't even know which way to look. Let's look this way. Aircraft. So how things that were built just can't withstand time. Just ever so interesting. Talks about the quality of the original craftsmanship, if you know what I'm saying. And that's also true in modern homes. It's not uncommon to have your house built and then discover things like upside down outlets, crooked walls. I mean, when I bought my house, all the things I've discovered. Somebody signed off on them. Even my RV, which I'm traveling with, originally it was sold for $80,000 to some poor schmuck in 2001 or 2002, whenever that was. One of the outlets in RV is crooked, and honestly I don't know anybody who wouldn't know. Like, as a matter of fact, when people come into my RV, they're like, is your thing crooked? Why, yes it is. And apparently somebody at the factory level have said, you know what, that's perfectly fine. So let's have a quick break, quick snack, check on the cat, and go check out Key West in the daylight. Well guys, you're in for a treat. This is one of those things where after coming to Key West so many times, it's okay to actually skip a whole bunch of things. Now, remember those trees that I was talking about before? This is what is found all through the Keys, all through Fort Lauderdale and everything like that. And then, ironically, on the other side of this is a very special, don't take your mom over there, let me put it that way. This bar, the top floor, is apparently clothing optional, sort of eclectic kind of place. Let's put it that way. People typically paint their upper extremities in all sorts of colors. So, the main thing about Key West, as it is, it's a town of many contrasts, and if you really want to explore, there's couple of streets. DeWalt seems to be the bigger one. If you're into bar scene, there's plenty of that here. Plenty of street artists, plenty of people trying to scam you and trying to sell you something. So the best thing you could do is actually just walk up and down to see. The Mallory Square is actually right behind me. That's where we're heading. And oh, here's what that tree looks like behind me. Now, one thing I always appreciated about Key West as a whole is that as you're walking down, even if you don't go to the bars, there's live music everywhere. Reminds me of Nashville in a lot of places. Street musicians, just bars, everything.
I'm never in town this old. Teach me how. But inside of you won't stop. Cross my heart, not cross the world. You
Herein lies the paradox. In a city of a lot of contrasts, it's very easy to lose yourself, whether getting carried away, drinking, or shopping, or just getting lost in general. It's good to at least get a general feel for this town during the daylight, because you really don't want to be roaming the streets at night all too much. Now, this being the main stretch, it is going to be lit up. Once you get off the beaten path, there's going to be let me put it this way, you don't want to get molested by a trans fan. Speaking of get around town, there's many ways of doing it. You could get the scooters, you could rent vehicles, you could just walk. You could also get taxis. But over the many times I've come in here, I found that the two best ways are something like hop on, hop off tram or a scooter. See jet skis, means we're getting close. Mallory Square, or colloquially known as Sunset Pier, is right around the corner.
everyone has a secret. Oh, they keep it. No, I know I don't know you, but I want so bad.
So let's start the journey here. This up here behind me is officially the closest parking lot where you could feasibly park. We've been parking here for years, typically over there, but obviously if you have RV, that's just not gonna cut it. Parking here is relatively steep, considering how close you are to the festivities. Kind of makes sense. This place around the corner keeps changing. It's like every single time I come here, it is a completely different thing. So right now, it's some sort of a gift shop. It used to be a restaurant before, and another restaurant, and another restaurant. There is a restaurant over there as well. And of course, this being the sunset driven Mallory Square, there's all sorts of performers doing all sorts of crazy things. Live music, that sort of stuff. And of course, everybody gathers here to watch the sunset. You know, one thing I always found strange is that the main scope of all of the crazies that gather up here, and pulling crowds and everything like that, most of it is just doing the general roll call, trying to get people you know, to surround you, as many as you can, so that everybody else stops by, and then, you know, the person just keeps going and going and going, and then functionally the entire thing is over in like 2 seconds. So, but it still gives you an opportunity to lazily stroll about, look at stuff, check some of the usuals, and of course, it's ever so good.
My truth. Folks, you need to know that's one of the most absurd, ridiculous, preposterous statements any rational human being can make. You say, why is that?
Like I said, this place is very eclectic. And you know, usually there's all sorts of jugglers here and things, seasonal and permanent. People selling knickknacks and whatnots and doodads. Now this up here is the reason why I keep coming to the same sunset here. The famous Catman. He's been performing here for years. He is like the highlight of our annual pilgrimage. Great guy.
You're on stage. Stay where you are. You can bend your knees a little bit. Not a big boom, a little boom. Hannibal! Hannibal! Fire! A little boom. Stay where you are. Hannibal! Hannibal! You can't even read. Hannibal! Stay where you are, Hannibal. Look up! Look at the sky! Wait, clap, clap, clap for Hannibal, clap, clap, clap for me, let me say to you. Hold it, hold it, hold it.
And there we go, folks. Just like that, the sunset. I'm gonna try and balance my camera a little bit. You know, I don't think there's a best view in the house, to be honest with you. Any view is good here. Whether you're in a sailboat or just lined up here enjoying the festivities. But the sunsets in a typical Key West tradition are just to die for. It sets way off in the distance. There's really no obstruction. It's just beautiful.
That's going to be it for us this evening. We do appreciate you coming by and sharing your eyes with us for the sunset and your ears with us for the music.
So many moons ago, we have been to this restaurant. It's very quaint, very interesting place. All sorts of decorations and everything like that. So it looks like they have preserved some of its charm. Well guys, just like that, we are done and over with the sunset and everything like that. I am on Duval Street. And if you notice, the street is strangely absent. Normally, you would expect this place to be packed, but alas, maybe not. a lot of things have changed after the hurricane. Some for the best, some maybe not so much, but just by wandering the streets I found just as many people getting shit-faced. And not even the college types, but your father and mother and grandmother types. But this is what Key West is all about. Losing yourself, having fun. There's just as many drunks on the street screaming all sorts of incoherent babble. And by the way, the traffic here in Key West, doesn't matter what time of day, it is crazy, that's for sure. Between pedestrians that really don't give a walking, you know what, all the drivers, all the people coming and going. Oh my goodness, I am so glad I didn't take my RV here. I actually did explore the possibility for tomorrow just to take a stroll. Now I'm kind of having second thoughts, but we're just gonna have to. That being said, some of the old places are still here, like this charming place. Live music, and now that we're actually getting closer back to the Mallory Square, you start seeing a lot more people.
Some noise from new people just walking in.
Well, folks, here's what I've learned tonight. Taking a bus saves you about $36 all the way from Boyd's campground right down to Key West and back. Cost me $4. And you know what, at that price it's almost a crime not to take advantage of it. As you see behind me, the store is still very much open, so in case you need to grab a few late whatchamajigs, that opportunity is available. And it's also very quiet, very feng shui, and of course the campground is empty. Oh my goodness. Which is a good thing for me. So my goal for tonight is to hunker down, hug my cat, and wait for tomorrow.